Hello viewers, this video is going to be just a short little thing to show off what a typical session, a short session in Star Citizen is like for a few of my friends that don't play, and maybe at some point they'll get interested enough to try it out on one of the free flies. You know who you are. Anyways, we start at the main menu here. We'll go into the persistent universe, which is where most of the gameplay takes place. We got a friends list here of people that I've dealt with at various points in the game. You can search for new people, but for now we're just going to enter the universe. Right now I'm at a space station, and my primary residence is New Babbage, which is on Microtech, one of the furthest planets out in the Stanton system. It's typically a nice planet, although it does have some more temperate zones to it. But that's not where we're going to be today. Today we're going to be waking up at a space station, hopefully. And the objective of this particular session is going to be to fly to one of the main planets, land in a city, and buy myself a mining vehicle. I've been doing a little bit of mining with a rented vehicle the last couple of days to try to raise some money, and I finally got enough to buy my own, so time to stop renting and to actually splurge on my own equipment. Servers have been a little bit slow today because I guess a lot of people tend to play on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening sort of thing. So hopefully we'll get a decent session out of it. And not get stuck in the infinite loading screen, which is a not really common bug, but not unheard of. There we go. So I spawn into the habitat area, and to get up I push the Y button and it gets me out of my little bed alcove. I use the mouse and keyboard for moving around. You can see I got a little bed in there. There's a light to keep you awake at night. I don't think you can turn that off yet. And I can either sit down or lay down. This is essentially just a temporary residence. It's similar to a hotel room. And you'll end up in a random one every time you log into the game. You push and hold the F button to activate interactable things, and then you click the left mouse button to actually operate them. So to get out, I hold the F button, highlight over the door, and then click the left mouse. The F4 allows me to switch to external views of my character, and I'm wearing this huge spacesuit which is heavily insulated. I was last mining on a planet, a moon, that was extremely hot, and you need this to keep from dying. It's about 220 Celsius, so that's what the purpose of this is, but I won't really need it for the city I'm going to, so I'm going to change once I get into my suit, into my ship. So we'll switch back to the first person view, and we'll take an elevator down to the main deck. That's the Easy Hab. It's basically like a flop house for all the spacers. And in fact, before we leave, I'll give you a little bit of a tour of the station. This is the interdeck elevator, and it leads to the various features of the station. Stations are much smaller than the cities, and much easier to find your way around. The refinery deck is where you would go to sell ore that you might have mined, or to refine it into better quality ore, which you would then take into a trading depot in a city. This is also where you would buy industrial related tools for mining. There's a handheld mining laser that you can get. That's where I picked up the suit that I'm wearing. As well as the backpack that I've got on. is where you buy your mining equipment. If you've got a larger mining ship, you can also buy add-ons for the lasers, things like that. And of course various types of suits. And miscellaneous other gear. The mining tools, the hand mining tools, flares, gloves, boots, hard hats, different outfits. So I could buy a shirt, I could buy some pants, I could buy a pair of boots, the whole outfit. Now most of that stuff is not necessary. And then of course if you go into the terminal here, that will allow you to choose any of the goods that the shop sells, as opposed to just looking for it on the shelves. Up here we've got the refining center. You can sell ores at these terminals if you've got any in your ship, or you can refine them into better quality ores, which you would then sell for more money. There's not a whole lot to see on this deck other than that. They are working on a rebuild of the cargo system where the refinery deck and the cargo decks and such will be a little bit more useful than they currently are. Right now most of it is just for atmosphere of the game. And we started off on the hab deck and the hangar deck, so we'll go up to the Galleria and do a short look around that, and then we'll go back to the mid deck and we'll go spawn a ship and do our trip. NPCs are pretty stupid. They don't tend to move around a whole lot. You got clothing stores. I could buy myself a jacket if I wanted to, some shoes, maybe a pair of pants. But of course, you want to make sure that you're wearing an actual atmosphere suit if you happen to go out into space. Well, outside of your ship anyways. Most of the stations are empty. You know, there's not that many usable services that you can find. Standing on chairs is an NPC thing in the Star Citizen. In fact, if you want to convince people that you're an NPC rather than a live player, that's a good way to do it. You got food shops because periodically you have to eat and drink in the game, otherwise you'll start losing health and die. It's a very weak survival mechanic. There's also stuff like temperature. If you're too hot or too cold, you'll lose health and die. Now they do have a thing going on right now called Luminalia, which is a holiday thing. And there's typically gifts that are spread around the various landing zones. It's a little green box with a red ribbon on it. I haven't seen any so far. More food vendors. And these little gift packs, assuming that you do find any, are worth 500 credits each. Not a lot of money as far as things go, but it's free money and you can pick them up fairly quickly. Maybe the space stations don't get them. And somewhere in this rat's maze is a administration office where you can also sell certain types of cargo, as well as you have box delivery missions where essentially they're like UPS missions. You're asked to pick up a parcel from one location, fly it across the solar system to another location, and deliver it there. When you're on one of those missions, you've got markers on your heads-up display for the pickup and the drop-off location. So it's not particularly difficult to navigate around. Mouse wheel controls the speed that you're moving at. And then you can also use the sprint key to, or the shift key to sprint. And most live players that you see will be sprinting all the time. That's typically how you tell that they're live players, as opposed to NPCs. So now I got to try and find my way back to the interdeck elevators. Ah, there's a gun dealer here. I've been meaning to buy myself a weapon. I suppose I could probably afford it. Alright, yeah, I'm going to buy one of those. You never know when you're going to need a submachine gun. Ooh, 2200. You know what? I'm going to hold off on that for the time being. Stabilizers. I could also use the terminal to buy anything that they sell as well. Anyways, yeah, it's just going to be a short video here because I'm doing this while I'm waiting for my dinner to cook. So now I got to find them elevators and get on with the rest of this trip. That looks like the administration office. Nope. Oh, it is too. There's a sales terminal in there, and it's also the drop-off point for selling ores. Food court. Nope, that's where I came in. There we go. Interdeck elevators. So now we head back to the hangar deck. So this puts me near the Easy Hab. Then I'm looking for a security checkpoint. Simply take the path of least resistance. And here's the ship terminal.
Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
We're going to take the Nomad.
Vehicle selected.
That was the last one I was operating. I've got a few ships actually that I don't know why I've got them. It's not stuff that I've necessarily purchased in the game. Hangar 4. I forgot to look at that on the screen, but luckily it shows you on your heads-up display. CO Nomad, and it's at Hangar 4. And then it brings us down to Hangar 4. That's the mining vehicle that I rented, sitting in the pickup box at the back there. It uses an anti-gravity system for its landing gear. Highlight the door, enter the ship. And it closes up behind me. We got a bathroom that we can use. On this side there's a shower. Well, actually you can't use those yet. That is going to be a future part of the survival mechanic. You're going to have to keep yourself fed and hygiene and all the rest of that. Now I'll open my inventory rather. This is the station, and want to make sure I bring my helmet with me. And then I want to put it into the vehicle inventory. And I'm not sure why I don't have a helmet here. Because it's in my backpack. So I can close that and I can move it into my ship inventory. Now there's also armor. I don't think I'm going to bother wearing that. That gives me inventory slots that I can put the helmet into. Whoops, why did that not equip? And now I can put the helmet into that. So I've got my helmet with me if I want it. Oh, but that's in the backpack. Open. Just to make it a little easier to find, I'm just going to put it into the ship's inventory. Okay, so it's out of the backpack. In the backpack, I've got a couple of drinks, 3 drinks. I've got a med pen, I've got a burrito, and I've got a energy bar. But I don't need any of those just yet because I'm well hydrated and fed. Get into the pilot seat. Push the R button to power up the ship. Recenter my head tracking.
Welcome. Your journey begins now.
F11 to bring up my communications window and open comm with the station air traffic control.
You are clear to launch.
Once they say I'm clear to launch, I can close that window. They'll start opening up the hangar bays, doors rather. And at this point I'm going on to the stick and throttle and rudders rather than using the keyboard and mouse that I normally use for first-person control. And I'm coming clear of the station. Now I'm going to go into my map and I'm going to set a course for where I'm going to go by the mining vehicle.
Thank you, and please visit again.
Double click on that and we're going to Lorville. Okay, so it's going to be 1 jump to Hurston and 1 jump to Lorville. Now I can power the quantum drive. Align with that little blue arrow on the screen. That'll tell me that's Hurston. It's 1.3, almost 1.3 million kilometers away. Spooled up, I'm calibrated, and now I just hit the quantum drive, which by default is the push and hold, or push it to toggle the quantum off and on, and then you hold it in order to actually engage the drive. And at this point, I'm basically just sitting here waiting for the trip to run out. Go to the external view of the ship. I can look around at it. That's how it looks in flight. There's my little characters sitting in the pilot seat. Here you can see the planet coming up in front of us. Okay, so there's a cooldown on the travel, and then I've got a little blue arrow indicating where my next destination is. I'll align with that and it'll start to calibrate. And then I can hold the button, and we go into quantum again.
Engaged.
That'll probably be on the dark side of the planet because it's 600 kilometers away. Planets are... oh. I was going to say not to scale, but I guess it's not on the dark side. Volumetric clouds around these planets can really kill your frame rate. Okay, so I don't need the quantum drive anymore. I'm just going to head down to the spaceport. It can take some time to learn where the landing areas are in the various places.
Landing.
And now I've got a message to contact ATC, so I can go into chat and I can actually ask for a landing spot.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Put my landing gear down.
Landing gear engaged.
Now I do not want to hit this guy on the way in. That won't be good for either of us. Now, a lot of people like to land from the external camera. You can get a little bit better idea of where you're positioned. There is custom camera setups that you can do in the game, but I haven't bothered to set those up yet. A lot of people like an overhead camera, a chase camera, on M1 from like a 3/4 isometric view. And at this point I can come back to the inside view so that I know that I'm level for landing, or slightly nose up. And we're down.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
The U button powers off the ship. The Y button has me stand up. The door always opens when the pilot seat turns around and it slams in your door again, and your face again immediately. Ship closes itself back up again. You can just use the ladder and it will just open up and stay open. Okay, now the elevator to the surface should be on this side. You sort of get to know what the signage looks like, although signage is not very good. It's kind of a generous description of the directions they give you in this game. We'll call the elevator, we'll head back up, or head up to the lobby and store our ship at one of the terminals. No, I'm just going to get this out of the way before I forget about it.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
So we're going to store the Nomad, which is in the hangar.
Please visit us again. Goodbye.
This is one of the ships that's available for purchase on this planet. And what I was coming back to here is that you can actually rent various ships. And I was kind of curious whether or not the Nomad's even rentable. These are the price per day for renting. So if I wanted to rent the Titan Avenger, it would be $15,000 a day. 600i would be over $250,000 a day. But we're looking for Consolidated Outland, and I don't see it on the list here. Oh, there we go. CO. Nope, the Alpha's the only one you can rent. Okay. New Deal is the spacecraft dealer. This is where we're going to purchase the mining vehicle. And then we'll have a look at a couple of the other ones that are on display. So we're here to purchase the ROC, which is a Greycat. Greycat Industrial, and I want the Greycat ROC. I have 217,000. Oh. I have 390,000? Wow, I did better than I thought. So I'm going to spend 170 on that.
How good did that just feel? No rush like buying a new ship.
And I still got 200,000. CO. So I could theoretically buy a hover quad if I wanted to. I think I'm going to do that. They're reasonably cheap.
How good did that just feel? No rush like buying a new ship.
No rush at all. So these things are pretty cool. This is the Origin 85X. It's a essentially like a sports car. Has no cargo capacity whatsoever.
Take a wander and see what we have. There are some real gems.
But it does carry 2 passengers, and it's fast. It's a cool little ship. Not hugely well armed. Visibility's okay, I suppose. You don't really see over the nose all that well to the ground, so you got to be kind of careful with low-level flying on it. Anyways, that's the Origin 85X. These are about $500,000 in the game. Over here we've got the RSI Aurora. These are one of the cheaper options for a starter ship. I don't think it's the LX though. That's the cheap starter. I think these are like one step above. They're not a bad ship. They're not great. They're one of the first ones that was actually put into the game. So this one has a bed that you can log out from. There's no bathroom of any sort in here. And then you've got your pilot seat. It's got pretty decent visibility. Yeah, you can't really power up any of the ships. They don't want anybody flying off in any of them. So it's not bad. It's not really what I would consider one of my favorites, with all those struts in the view path. So we'll just jump out of this thing. exit right. And then this is the Prospector. This is a large mining ship that you can use for either asteroid mining or for mining larger rocks on planets. It's got some amenities. There's a toilet in here. It's got a shower as well. It's got a bed you can log out in. There's, I think, a little bit of internal storage space in the ship, and it's got extremely good visibility from the pilot seat. I'm not going to bother sitting down because you can see that this thing is basically all glass on the front. And we got other places to go and stuff to look at. Then you got the M50, that's kind of a racing ship. It is technically an armed fighter, but it's not a combat specialist. Here you've got their outdoor display pad. This is the Mustang Alpha. This is another one of the cheaper starter ships. It's not necessarily one that I would choose because it doesn't really excel for doing box delivery missions. However, it's got spectacular cockpit. It's a light fighter. It's not hugely well armed, but you can upgrade it from how it starts. There is a different variant of this thing that does have a bed to log out from, but that's not available as part of a starter package. This is a Constellation Phoenix. This is a technically a multiplayer ship. This is a luxury variant, and you can solo it pretty well. It's got a lot of weapons under the pilot's control. They're fairly expensive though. I think these are about $5.5 million in game. Take the elevator up to the crew deck. This is the cockpit. I'll try and power it on and hopefully the lights will come on.
Welcome to Modern Space Industries. Enjoy the ride. System check.
Okay, the lights did not come on, so I guess it won't allow you to power it up because it's sitting in a dealership. And they don't want people flying off with it. Once again, you've got a small bathroom for the crew. Combination of a toilet and shower. Typically the toilet will pop out the bottom portion there. Some ships combine it, some ships have a separate one. There's a table that's supposed to fold out of the floor that's not currently working. Some seating for the crew, 4 beds for the crew. Oh, actually, while we were there, I should have pointed out that the seats in the front there, the center seat is your pilot seat, the left and right are co-pilot, and these seats in the upper and lower section are upper and lower turrets. So if you've got a full crew, you can actually keep quite a few people busy. This is the passenger section of it. It's got 2 smaller cabins. Then you got the passenger seating. This is sort of the main salon area. Conference table. There's a bar. Unfortunately, none of the alcoholic beverages are currently active, although they do have booze in the game that you can get yourself very drunk on. Although the game's not finished yet, this is a jacuzzi that will be usable in the full version of the game, or hopefully patched in somewhat before that. There was also an option to get a piano put in here instead. I don't know if that's still available. This is the luxury cabin. Typically the crew would rent this out for cruises, and the big spender would stay in here, and then the other two cabins would be people that are on a little bit more of a budget. Back here you've got component access, the gravity generator, the power plants, things like that. And then in this final compartment you have access to a detachable snub fighter. This has no quantum drive in it, so you can't travel between planets or long distance high-speed travel. However, it can deploy from this ship. It's reasonably well armed, carries a single passenger, has no cargo space. It's basically just a protective fighter. And almost all of the Constellation class ships have fighters like that. And here we have access to the lower deck. This is where you'd access the cargo hold. And I hope I can jump down without breaking a leg. Let's give it a try. And you can drive vehicles onto that and then take them up to stow them inside the craft. Over here we've got the Hammerhead. This is a straight up multiplayer combat ship. I've flown one before. They're not really particularly usable as a solo ship because the pilot has almost nothing for pilot controlled weapons. I think you have missiles. These are 12.5 million in the game. This is the cockpit down on the bottom here. You get great downward visibility but nothing for upward visibility. So let's go aboard and have a look around. We've got about 8 minutes left in this video, and then I'm going to have to stop for my dinner. Now I already know that I can't power up the lighting system in here, so I'm not even going to bother trying that. We'll just do a ship tour. Okay, this is not really drawing in particularly well to the other sections of the ship. There's 4 turrets, one mounted in each corner. They're basically just like this. Once you sit down in them, they close off and seal themselves, and then they extend from the hull of the ship. And I guess I can't power this thing up to extend it either. So we're still kind of locked into the hull. The turrets are the size of some small ships. On the other side there's another turret. This is the forward airlock. There's some suit lockers here. Those are not currently functional. Here we have an elevator to the bridge deck. I'm not sure why that's not accessible. It could be because the ship is, well, not because the ship's powered off. You shouldn't need to be powered on for the bridge to be accessible. That's a second elevator to the outside. We're heading aft now. More turrets, both sides. This is the upper dorsal gun. This, I believe, is the captain's cabin. Yeah, so the captain's got a bathroom, a bed, and of course his desk. This, I believe, is the, that's the turret again. Deck, elevator to the upper deck. We'll finish touring this deck before we go that way. An engineering space. Engineering isn't really active in the game at this point. This is the crew quarters, along with the crew washroom, toilet, showers, everything you need when you're on a combat ship. This takes us out to the other side of the ship. This should be the port side that we're on now. Still heading aft. This is the cargo bay. The elevator is currently down on it. There's also access to the drive systems. This is the upper rear turret. I'm not going to bother jumping into that because it's not going to do much of a deployment. Heading forward along the starboard side. And we'll take the elevator to the upper deck. This is the overlook of the cargo bay. I guess that's so when you depressurize it, you don't you can still have somebody, in theory, operating the elevator. Elevator, I'm sure there was more on the upper deck here. Correct, the crew mess. So you have the crew mess hall, and then you've got what I suppose is supposed to be either the pantry or the armory. I would say a pantry would make more sense. And aside from the bridge, that's pretty much the entire tour of the Hammerhead. I think I'm going to try and take the ladder down from the cargo area. Oh, no, there's an elevator here. And we'll make our way off the ship. This is the elevator we came in on. Oh, actually, I'll take one more shot at finding the bridge. Forward airlock. Oh, there we go. Some of the newer ships have got manual controls for the door. Some of the older ones it's automatic, but you have to be like right up against them. So the pilot seat here, you got your pilot and co-pilot seat. Basically all you can do from here is to fly, and I think you have access to missiles. It's got awesome downward visibility, zero upward visibility. But you always got your external view. Okay, so that concludes the tour. I'm going to get out of here, and then I'm going to shut the video down. There you go. Stick your face right up against the door and it'll open. Just like Star Trek. I'm concerned I'm going to fall through the world here. Alright, so that's our trip to Lorville. Got to look at a couple of ships and got to purchase my ground mining vehicle. I'm going to shut the video down at this point. Thanks for watching and come back for the next one.